West of Dead. So West of Dead is a stylistic Western-themed roguelike starring Ron Perlman. He basically looks like Cowboy Ghost Rider. He's just like a flaming skull. This game is super stylistic. It's like cel-shaded with dark and muted colors, and lighting is very important to it. Your character is William, and you're stuck in like this old west purgatory, and you're just navigating these corridors and trying to find answers to like why you're there, or you're trying to escape. Like, it's very mysterious what you're doing there and what your purpose is. The game is like a twin stick shooter almost, because it's got like the top down view of your character, and it has cover that's like sticky cover, where if you're close to a barrier you'll just like stick right to it, and you have some slowdown mechanic, like if you dodge a bullet shot or a melee attack at the perfect time, the game kind of slows down and your character does like a really stylistic looking move. But because the world is like very stylized, it's a very dark game. The color palette.
Go back. Is there any benefit to dodging? Like, do you get a boost out of it?
No,
or does it just look cool?
It looks cool, and you avoid the damage. So the world is like very dark and stylized, cel-shaded, muted colors. The corridors, the hallways, they're all dark. The rooms that you go into are really dark with just like little bit sources of light everywhere, scattered through a specific room. You use that light to your advantage. Like, you can't really shoot an enemy in the dark. There's auto lock, but auto lock only works when an enemy's in the light. If there's an enemy in the shadows, you can't auto-lock to them. There are different ways you can illuminate the room, and that can help. So you're constantly trying to balance and almost fight the limited light source. The auto-lock thing it's a cool mechanic in theory, but it can also be sometimes annoying. There have been times where I have an enemy right in front of me, but because we're kind of in the shadow, my gun is gonna auto-lock to an enemy that's in the light. So I will miss some shots from time to time because that auto lock decided, oh, that person in the light is more important than the person standing inches in front of your face. So there's some times where that can be a little frustrating. But at its core, it's a fun shooting game. The shooting feels pretty good outside of that mechanic, and it has a good loot system in place where, because it's a roguelike, every time you die, you have to restart the game from the beginning, which I know Dave hates those.
They're not terrible if they're handled correctly.
Yeah, I think this one's handled correctly.
Handled correctly is very much opinion-based.
Because as you're going through a level, you'll find upgrade options to like increase your health and increase damage. Those only last for your current run, but every time you kill an enemy, you earn iron and sin. Sin is just basically one sin for every kill you get, and then iron is just a random collectible. You use the sin to upgrade your character between runs, so like the upgrades will last from run to run, and then you use the iron to buy better weapons that you can use during that specific run, so they'll go away once you start the game over again. Because it is a roguelike, it's procedurally generated, which I always have mixed feelings about procedural generated levels, because oftentimes they can just kind of come across as generic because it's just spitting out random level designs, and it can't get super creative with it. I definitely had
it feels like there's no love or no core to it. They're
exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter because we can just kind of randomize it anyways.
Yeah, and that definitely is a problem with this, and most roguelikes, to be fair. The issues that I had with it, in terms of like that auto lock thing, and then there's sometimes some annoying stuff with the camera because it is that top down. Sometimes the camera gets stuck on a wall, or there's just weird angles. Those problems just didn't prevent me from enjoying the game, because the shooting mechanic is fun, and I like the different type of weapons you had at your arsenal, and I really enjoyed playing with those tools. I just worked around it. Even in the beginning, I spent like the first 2 hours just in the first two levels dying over and over and over and over again. But I had so much fun with the shooting mechanics that I was willing to overlook that to continue to get better at the game. You can play the game slow, which is how I did it. I was very slow and methodical with things, and I found better skill at that. But from time to time, I did the whole like John Wick super action gameplay and had fun. I usually would die eventually just because you lose track of everything that's going on. Overall, I enjoyed the game. I love the look of this game. Cowboy Ghost Rider, sign me up 10 out of 10 times. So I enjoyed that. I played it on PC. Keyboard and mouse isn't recommended, surprisingly. It doesn't play well on keyboard and mouse. They patched it to where it's a little bit better. It's meant to be played with controller. I believe it's available on Xbox now, and it's coming to Switch and PS4 in August. So I would recommend getting it on a console or on PC if you have a controller. But overall, I enjoyed it despite its flaws, which is why I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5.